Blog Talk Radio.
Welcome to Real Talk for Real Teens, hosted by Kim Creighton, or as she's known by the people who know her best, Mama C. The show where we uniquely combine the information teens need with the entertainment teens want.
Good evening and happy holidays, guys. I hope you had a wonderful, whatever you celebrate, Kwanzaa, Christmas, Hanukkah, Ramadan, whatever it is. I hope it was a wonderful time for you, and welcome to another week of Real Talk for Real Teens. As always, this is Kim Creighton, and this week we're talking about taming your fears with my guest today, comedian Joel Byars. So tell us something about yourself, Joel Byars. Introduce yourself to the group.
Oh, well, thank you so much, first off, Mama C, for having me on the show.
You're the only person who's ever picked up on that.
I had to take advantage of it. I'm definitely looking forward to this. My name is Joel Byars. I am a stand-up comedian by night, minibar attendant by day, kind of like a superhero of sorts. But I'm 24 years old, just recently graduated college, and was thrilled to get on here and speak with you just about the topic of fear, and how it is such a universal emotion, and how, I mean, regardless of age, we all battle this and really seek to find answers for what the cause of this is. And I think you are a great resource to tap into.
Well, thank you. What the hell is a mini bar attendant?
It's actually, believe it or not, worse than it sounds. Well, I mean, basically just.
You go into people's rooms and check and see if they've been drinking?
That's it. That's the entire job description right there. Yeah. My only occupational hazard is not falling asleep in the rooms.
I you have to. I don't want you to tell what hotel you work at, but you have to be in a big place to do that for 8 hours, because that just seems so boring.
Oh, it's a very prominent hotel in the city. This isn't like a Motel 6. You know, I'm at the top. I've made it, Mom.
A Motel 6 would not. I'm sure they know not to put liquor in the doggone rooms.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
didn't mean to name drop there.
Well, as you said, I'm sure your mom's proud.
Absolutely.
So, spending all that time going to college, getting that piece of paper. What's your degree in?
My degree is in organizational management.
Okay, well, you're organizing the liquor. Okay, you're doing that. You're managing.
Exactly. You know, I'm managing myself, which is I went to a liberal arts school.
Oh, those are wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, it's great for while you're there, but when you get out and you realize people think it's just a Hogwarts for hippies, don't really get too much on the outside. But I'm very appreciative of the experience I had there. I wouldn't change anything or anyone I've met there. I've created lifelong connections that are really worth all of my outcomes as far as graduating, and I chose to do this job. When I first graduated, I did have a more, I guess, I don't know if we name companies, but I had like a tie job, and I would show up and I, did my time, and, my whole motivation is comedy, is stand-up comedy. And that was starting to interfere with, me getting on stage. So I had to make an executive decision to, manage my own life and take a less, glamorous job, but one that would allow me to take greater strides in what I truly do love to do and will eventually be doing professionally full time.
And so that right there leads us into that fear thing, because you had to make. Do you have student loans?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm.
Okay, we joined. Welcome to the club. I call Salome the biggest pimp in the world. She is the big pimp, man. Oh, she's a hustler.
She can't. Yeah, you can't hate the hustle.
Oh, yeah,
I got props for her.
Hey, I wish I had that kind of game.
Yeah.
So you had to, with coming out of school with debt, and so you go into a traditional job, a more conservative job where you had to wear a tie, which probably everybody's saying, oh, that's when you got the job, was like, hey, Joel, you've made it. You've arrived.
Yep.
And then you realize as you were in this job that, hey, this thing that I love to do. So how long have you not wanted to be a comedian?
Oh, well, wanting to be a comedian, I mean, ever since I can remember. But actually making the decision, to pursue it took me until second semester of senior year of college. So when you say you wanted to, give me, because I want to see how long, from the desire to you actually stepping out. When did you say how long have you wanted to do it, but just didn't do it? I'm trying to think. I guess the first memories I have of wanting to do it, I mean, I don't even remember how old I was. This was back when Sinbad was rocking afros and bell bottoms, if that gives a timeline.
Ooh, yeah. Good work. Mm-hmm.
But that, I was watching him and I just loved the style and everything, and from there it just kind of sparked something in my head that, I could do this. And I'm sure subconsciously I wanted to do it before then, because it's almost something that either you want it or you don't. There's no halfway between it, And what it really took me, senior year, it was January of my senior year of college. What it took is really just overcoming the fear of really taking the leap into a less more concrete path, because I'd been in college getting this organizational management degree, like, all right, I'll get this, and then I can go and work this office job and climb the ladder. But then second semester, all of a sudden my brain's like, yeah, but that you're not going to be happy with that, and going this route is worth the risk in the long run. So, it took, almost 20 years to make that decision, though.
And see, that's what I want to get to, because like I was saying, you like you said, you got this job, everybody's happy for you, and now there's something in your spirit, in your soul that's saying, hey, you got that nagging voice in your brain saying, hey, buddy, hey, fella, hey, we don't want to do this. Don't want. So it's like this part of your brain is having these conversations with your head. But you know what? That butthole can't do nothing. All they doing is telling you that what they don't want to do. So they leave it to other parts of you to make a decision or make the move. And you're just like, hey, you done came up with this. What's your game plan? And so that's where all that fear comes in, because you have this great, oh, my God, you're so enthused. Can you remember that moment? You're so enthused. That voice is talking to you. It's got you all jived up. You're excited. The adrenaline's pumping. And then for some reason that voice decides to go take a nap. And then these other voices come to your head. Like, what are you thinking? You have this. You have this responsibility. Why are you doing this? That doesn't make sense. How are you going to tell your parents, oh, they're going to be disappointed? All this stuff.
Yeah. It really is, and one of the strange parts, about when I got the first job out of school. Well, really, my first job I was delivering pizzas before I found the real job. So there's definitely a progression after college. For a lot of people, it doesn't just hit right away. So there is that unknown after you graduate of where you'll end up, and there's a fear involved there. But when I got this job with the tie and everything, even getting that job, in the back of my head, because I'd been doing stand-up for a little while, and in the back of my head I knew that this was just more of a means to an end type of situation. But I didn't think it would be that quick. Like, I was at the job less than a year before I was like, oh, okay, this is not the right route.
That's bold, because a lot of people will sit in those jobs for years.
Yeah.
Before they walk out on. So, to have that voice in the back of your head. And then, I just need to add this. You left a job, a real job, as you say, for comedy, dude.
Yeah.
It's like, what? You want to tell jokes. Is that what you want to do? You want to tell jokes.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. And I think a big part of it was overcoming that fear of, should I go out on a limb here? But after it tumbles around your head for, years and years, at some point your brain's like, no, this is what it has to be. This is what's happening now. There's no more time to waste. You've got to start putting everything you have into this. But it really was just like, an epiphany, if you will. It just created a whole new perspective for how I lead my life and what decisions I make. My whole motivation is now fueled, towards becoming better at comedy and becoming it's not even like I knew it was the right decision when I knew it wasn't motivated by money.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that from numerous adults and people like, whatever decisions you make, just don't make it towards money, make it towards what will make you happy. And this was the first decision I had made that wasn't motivated by money. It was motivated by sheer just instinct and overall happiness. So I knew I was moving in the right direction when I found that outlet. And I've got to give props to my mom, especially she's always seemed to have the vision before I did. She's always known I was going to be in entertainment in some capacity, but she just allowed me to, go through whatever experiences I want to, as far as, getting the real job and everything. But when I told her about, stand up and this is what I want to do, she has been nothing but supportive 100% since then.
As moms usually are.
Yes, I feel very grateful for that.
And the thing that what I want to get is, as you said, fear is a part of everybody's life. It's not just yours, not just mine. It's everybody's life. And it's finally lining your actions up with the voice that says, do it because you love it. I hear so often kids, I'm getting this because of what other people think it means or what it looks like. Everybody has this, or I need to be with him or I need to be with her because what she can give me and all these other things. The greatest gratification comes when you recognize your true desires, what you're truly passionate about, and doing it for yourself. And that doesn't mean not allowing other people to help you, because as I was telling you before we came on the show, I'm totally grateful to give you this opportunity to come on this show because I believe in win-win. You're coming on as a great guest and entertaining my audience, and then you get an opportunity to tell a few jokes, and you're going to be doing that at the end. I didn't tell you that, but get your head together because I'm going to give you about I'm going to give you about You a little nervous now?
No, we're good.
Okay.
We're good.
So I'm going to give you about a little bit to just tell people, what show them an example of what intrigued me and liked, because I invited him on the show after listening to him one time. So you're a very funny guy, and people who know me know I am the silliest thing in the world. So you're gonna roll here in a minute. So, but yeah, this whole fear thing is because I've been experiencing a lot lately, and a lot of people believe, as I was saying before we came on, a lot of it becomes from not making mistakes. Most of us come from a structured school environment, K through 12, which tells us mistakes are bad. You can't make mistakes. Right. Mistakes are bad. Bad. Well, mistakes are usually when you make your big discoveries. Thomas Edison, Henry Ford, the Wright brothers, all those great inventions and things that we take for granted only happened because they tried and tried again. They used whatever they failed at and found out that one thing that didn't work and fixed that. And then each time they just improved on it over time. It's not, people think it's this big epiphany. It could be an epiphany. Let me get what I'm trying to say. But they think, all of a sudden you're going to arrive somewhere. No, it's all a journey. So let's talk about one of the, so you decide to, so what are some of the fears that you dealt with when you were in high school?
Well, I think that's what did take so long to, make the decision to pursue the dream was just that lack of experience. And especially in high school, I mean, that was in the back of my head, like, oh, you could do this comedy route. But there's that whole fear of failure and that whole fear really, I mean, there's a great excerpt from, I mean, Marianne Williamson, I have this hung up on my wall, but basically it's like, our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure, which really resonates, I mean, with everyone, because we do have that in the back of our head, you know, we could do this, but who am I to be able to do that? You know, I should just take the safe route. I want to, especially in high school, there's so many pressures coming at you from every angle. You know, you want to make sure you have the cool clothes, and you want to be like a cool kid, and, you know, you want to make sure you don't step on anybody's toes. You're trying to be very diplomatic. At least I was personally in my high school experience, was, you know, just wanting to fit in, basically. So that's a big distraction that definitely distracts from your overall ability to pursue your inner motivations, because you're so worried about what is going on around you that you don't have time to really reflect and really analyze what it is that truly makes you happy.
And I'm glad you brought that point up, because that's what I was trying to get to earlier. So much of our lives, particularly in high school, well, it starts in middle school, really, and it intensifies in high school, is that external motivation. Everything is about what I look like, how I sound, who I'm dating, what I drive. And a lot of people, I have to be honest, don't grow out of it. So you see 50, 60-year-old people with the same issues.
Right.
But it's really because of how high school is set up and socialized. It's really that whole thing. And if you are the oddball, you can be really chastised and hurt emotionally in that situation. So you try to go along just to go along. You end up doing things with friends that you don't even want to do, but because the crowd is doing it, you're doing it as well. And those fears come up. Are just, how do you learn to stand on your own, be by yourself? Because I met, Facebook is the devil. I came across some people I knew, from middle school, actually, in 8th grade. And I can say this about me all my life. I have been an oddball. I've never fit in anywhere. I mean, I'm not going to say I was very much a chameleon. I can hang out with the jocks. I can hang out with the nerds. I can hang out with anybody. And I always was able to keep who I was separate from that. And like I said, I ran to somebody from 8th grade, and he was like, you know what, we used to think you were the cutest thing, but you were just weird. Just weird. I was like, that's why. Okay, I was just weird. But in my weirdness, in my defiance to stay who I was, I found myself in my desire to protect that part of me. My pendulum swung the whole other way. I didn't try to fit in, but I tried to be as odd as I could be. You know? So I still wasn't who I was. It was still external, because I cared so much. You're not going to tell me who the hell I'm going to be. I'm going to be me, but I'm going to be me on 10.
Exactly. I feel like I've shared that same experience, you know, going through school. I mean, I went to numerous elementary schools and middle schools. I mean, I've been through a whole array of schools as I've been growing up. And it really, you learn from that just how to acclimate to a situation, because you're just, all right, you start to meet people, and then all of a sudden you're thrown in this other school, and you're like, oh, I gotta start all over now.
I went to a new school like every year.
Yeah. But the funny thing about, like we're talking about everybody wanting to be the same and fit in, the funny thing is, like, everybody who's kind of cool, somebody who's different, who's an outlier of the group, the cool people actually fear that person, because deep inside, I feel like we all have that, you know, that voice in the back of our head that wants to branch out, but are too afraid to. So when we see somebody with that ability, we're almost intimidated by that they have the courage to do that. But in the same sense, we might not even recognize it.
We might not even recognize it as courage. We just know that it's different from what we're doing, and that makes us uncomfortable.
Right. Exactly. Very true.
Well, we're going to take a... Go ahead.
I felt the same way. You were saying you fit in with people, but you still didn't feel like yourself, which is a very strange anomaly as far as just like, you feel like you would be able to, but you still weren't completely honest and trustworthy of the whole social interaction.
Oh yeah, you always had your guard up. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, you can hang out with everybody. You had no quote unquote loyalties to anybody, so people left you alone because you got along with everybody. So they couldn't say, "Oh, she's with them, so I'm going to pick on her because I don't like them." So I was able to do that. And now that you think about it, I didn't even think about the fact that I moved so often that I did have to learn how to be diplomatic. I had to learn to come into a situation where people who've been together for years and survive for however long I was going to be there.
I think it helps you in the long run, though.
Yeah. Oh no, we'll talk about that because it does help you. I can navigate any situation. I can navigate any situation. So we're about to take a quick break, and when we come back from this break, Mr. Joel, you're going to give us about 3 minutes of stand-up.
Boom.
There you go. So we'll be right back.
Real Talk for Real Teens is having a national co-host intern search, and duties include interviewing guests, screening calls, and queuing breaks. Now, the ideal candidate is age 16 to 20, energetic, outgoing, organized, takes initiative, and is truly interested in doing the job well. But you must have reliable access to the internet and a telephone. So please send a video 2 minutes or less demonstrating why you would be perfect for this position. Creativity counts. Send your submissions to realtalkforrealteens@gmail.com. Welcome back to Real Talk for Real Teens, hosted by Kim Creighton. To talk live on the air, call 347-539-5226.
Welcome back to the show. This is Kim Creighton, and we're talking tonight about taming our fears with my guest today, Joel Byars. So, Joel, I want you to just roll, and then I'll stop you.
Rolling. All right. Well, a lot of my material I like to draw from real life experiences. I mean, a lot of people, if you saw my picture on the website, you wouldn't assume that I do actually live in the hood of Atlanta. It's Zone 6 for all my ATLians out there over off Boulevard, my partner, them. And people are worried about me living there. They think it's very dangerous, but from my experience living there, the hood is scary unless you've lived in a trailer. Now, I don't know how many people have lived in this hallway with wheels, but yeah, even homeless people are just like, I prefer the bridge. And I don't blame them. Growing up, our water had texture, like applesauce. But you got to get creative when you live downstream. I had to put a Brita filter on my shower head, which took forever. But I got rid of the pulp. And that's the important part. So, and as far as living in the hood, people may be surprised to hear that we actually have a top-notch neighborhood watch. There are these guys in white tees that patrol the streets at all hours of the night. And these guys are volunteers. They actually, approach me just to check in, see if I need anything, which is very comforting. And I've seen people from the community show their gratitude by approaching them, just to shake their hand. Some even slip them tips for their efforts. That's just Southern hospitality there. But, of course, with every good thing, these guys in white tees, there are some sour biscuits in the batch. A couple of these cats walking around in white tees with stains on them. Not taking the job seriously. I was just recently approached by one of these assailants. He approached me antagonizing, asking if I needed anything. I was like, well, I need to roll my window up. I don't know if that's juice or blood, but you are too clumsy to trust. That's the cred, though. Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, you can just tell by his voice. I'm going to tell you, when I first saw him, he got on. I was like, who is this goofy white dude? I just knew you were not going to be funny. And then I just laughed your whole set. I laughed your whole set. And that takes guts, because you are the clean, since you cut off that beard, that mustache looking like you were a 50-year-old granddad. You are a very clean-cut kind of guy. And it just takes some guts to get out and just do you. I'm going to ask you a personal question. Is your father in your life, or was he in your life?
It was like an every other weekend kind of deal.
Mhm.
So, and he's still around. I mean, I saw him just, I guess, Christmas Eve. Went over there, I saw him. So, I mean, we're in contact and everything. I also had a great stepdad growing up who was the primary father figure. But, I mean, to this day has just been a very, like a philosophical beacon of sorts. Just really has helped me kind of guiding through my decisions and everything. So I've been, it's on the surface, it seems like, just a typical divorce situation, kid, but I really have been able to draw a lot of positives out of it, and I feel very fortunate to actually have those influences in my life, because without them I would definitely not be speaking with you. So I'm very grateful for that.
And that's something I really like young people to get is, you can't control, most of the times at your age, you have no control over the hand that you're dealt.
Right.
It's what you do with the hand that you're dealt, which is going to make you who you are, which is going to determine how you live your life and the choices you make. And so I asked that because, like myself, you moved a lot. And so, my parents got divorced when I was 5, and my dad and I were very, very close. I mean, I was his little shadow. And it was like my parents never even argued that I remember. I just remember at 5 him just gone. It's like, what happened? And so,
right.
And being young, you don't understand that. And it's taken a lot for me to get to a place where that doesn't hurt me anymore. That doesn't scar me. He and I have a good relationship now. And he was always in my life. It wasn't like he was out, but that traumatizes us. And I find so often that young people, they take their life experience and they're like, oh, that doesn't bother me. That doesn't bother. Yes, it does, because it adds to those things of why those fears come up. Because life can be so unpredictable that the things you can control, you really, really try to control. No matter how much they go against what you really desire or who you really want to be. You try to take control over these situations because everything else is just utter chaos in your life at times. That's just the way life is. And you don't have those coping skills yet. As you said, when you got out of high school and went to college, you realized the difference between all your concern was then if I asked this girl out, will she say yes? And then as you get older, it's, you now think about starting a family, all these other things come into play.
Right. Yeah, it's completely. I'm amazed. I'm only 24, but I've been very amazed at just how quickly your perspective changes as far as just getting out into the real world and starting to live on your own, and just how your priorities will shift in various directions. And I do pride myself just on being able to put an optimistic bend on everything. So, like you were saying about how, you try to act like certain things don't bother you when you actually know they do. So I feel like I'm very good at I won't say suppressing, but that may be the appropriate word to say as far as like suppressing the negative. But that's why I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to perform stand-up, because it does give you an outlet to, highlight these experiences in your life, but find humor in them. Because without that outlet, I don't think I would be so analytical and really trying to figure out why.
Self-aware.
And exactly. Yeah, kind of the whole reason for why.
And that's one of the things that when I'm talking to young people, I really talk to them about. It's like, it's okay if you're angry. What is not appropriate is if you manifest your anger inappropriately, tantruming, cussing folks out, fighting. Anger is a natural emotion. Fear is a natural emotion. But I find that a lot of young people don't have that outlet. So I'm glad you brought that up, because you get your therapy while you're on the stage. You can get out what you're thinking, what's going on. And a lot of young people, I find, don't have that place where they can have honest conversations with people. They can't have it with their parents because they're afraid of what their parents are going to think, if they're going to disappoint them or whatever. And that's one reason I do the show, so that they can come on here and say anything. I don't censor them at all. I might say, hey, what do you think about if you thought about it this way or saying it that way? But I'm not going to say what they're feeling and what their thoughts are invalid, because it is what it is. Now, I might say having that point of view or acting that way is not going to get you what you want, and that's a choice you need to make, because I'm going to be honest about that. You acting a plum ass to people, and it's not going to make them want to do anything for you, but you have to deal with the consequences of that. And you still have the choice to act that way or you don't act that way. And I think that's the thing that's missing when they're in school, K through 12. They're not taught that they have choices. And you do have choices. What motivates your choice? Do you want to be motivated by fear to make choices, or do you want to be motivated by the possibilities of what could happen? Now, is it going to be easy? No, because I'm sure when you finally came to that decision, it came after a lot of thinking, because you said it was 20 years, a lot of, you know what, I can't do, your little voice said, you know what, I can't do this anymore. We got to go this route.
Oh yeah, I cried. Like when I told my mom that this was kind of the direction I was moving in. I remember crying just from the overall weight lifted off. And I feel very fortunate that it happened at such an early age, because people will go majority of their life. They'll go majority of their life, or maybe almost to the end of their life, before they realize, oh my gosh, I should have just done that the whole time. So
when people have those quote unquote midlife crisis, a lot of that has to do with them living lives that don't bring them absolutely no joy. And instead of finding, again, they're living externally, again, not taking the time to sit back and figure out what's really their passion and what drives them internally. They do these outwardly things to bring bring satisfaction to their lives. There are a lot of people who live for retirement just so they can do what they want to after retirement. That's the whole thinking. I'll do this, take care of my family, and then when I retire, my life is my own. To me, that is so sad, because first of all, you never know how long you got here, but that's so much of not doing what you want. That would just be so depressing to me, to spend so much of my life just doing something I don't want.
Yeah, it's that monetary motivation.
Well, it's not always monetary, because a lot of it has to do, I would say majority of it's not monetary. It's the external, what people are going to think. How am I going to, because a lot of these people, if they wanted to leave, how am I going to support my kids? Okay, you can get a regular a job like you're saying, but okay, now I'm not bringing in enough money, so now I got to take my family to a lower place in status. How are they going to handle that? What are they going to? Are my kids going to like me because I've been buying them $200 gym shoes up until this point? How are they going to deal with that? A lot of it's perceived. It's external. A lot of that is that external. What am I going to look like in other people's eyes? And when you turn that into an internal, what's going to, and it's not about being selfish in the way that most people think of define selfishness, but you cannot give what you do not have. You cannot give your children, wife, spouse, husband, or whatever, joy if you're not joyful. You cannot be loving if you don't feel loved. If you can't be a good example. Because I could tell you a lot of the fears that I had, I love my mom to death, but they are directly related to her fears. And it was a conscious effort on my part to say, you know what? I had to, like you said, get very analytical. And this is how I do a lot of fears. I get very analytical, and the first question I ask is, will this kill me? If it's not going to kill me, it's really no real basis to it. Because I find that a lot of our fears are based on stuff from the past, or stuff that we've seen, or stuff that we've heard of, or that kind of thing. They're really not logical.
But it takes those experiences, like a lot of the fears, from just a lack of experience overall. You don't know any better, almost.
Exactly. You're absolutely right. Like people, I love to hear people who say they're afraid of flying, and then I say, so have you flown? Nope. And then they're like, and they're 15, 16 years old. So you're trying to tell me, so if you can't drive, catch the plane or a bus, catch the train or a bus there, you're not going. So that right there, it tells me you've limited majority of the world to what you're going to experience. The majority of the world is a limit to you.
I feel like a good way of overcoming fears, from my experiences, are just forcing yourself to do things you don't want to do. I mean, I know, especially as a teenager, there's almost a fear of just hard work in general, and I forced myself.
Well, you don't have to work hard when you're in school. Oh, my God, you don't have to.
Yeah.
You don't learn that at all. Oh, my God. Hold on, Joel. We have a caller. Let me see what this caller, if they want to get on the air or not. So give me just a moment.
Okay. All right.
Hello, and welcome to the show.
Hello.
Hi. What's your name?
Hello.
My name is Nicole.
Hi, Nicole. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine. Did you have a question? Did you want to add to the conversation?
I just have I have a problem that me and my best, I'm going to get abandoned by all my friends and stuff. And I'm
Why? What is it? Oh, let's talk about this problem. What is this?
All my friends are, turning on me and stuff, and I feel like everyone's abandoning me.
Turning on you how?
They're just, two-faced, I guess.
Okay, well, I'm going to need give me an example. What do you mean?
Best friend at first, and then go behind your back and just talk about you, call you cuss words and stuff.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, how old are you?
I'm 13.
Yeah, this is middle school, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and Joel, you can talk about this. This is a part of being in middle school, isn't it? So,
absolutely.
Yeah. What's your name again? I'm sorry?
Nicole.
Nicole? Yeah. A part of being in middle school is, first of all, developmentally at that age, you're really pulling away from your parents, and so your friends become more important to you than what your parents are. And so you really, what your parents have to say, they can tell you they love you and you're the most special thing in the world, and at this age, you really don't care. What you want is for your friends to really like you and for them to hang out with you. And unfortunately, how girls are socialized, which means how girls are taught to act around each other, it can be very catty. They can be very mean and malicious. That's why a lot of girls bully. And that goes back to what Joel was talking about, how, her call dropped, but we'll keep having this conversation. That goes back to when we were talking about how that popular girl or boy is intimidated by you being who you are, and so they do whatever they can to break you down.
Right. And that's her situation is definitely not an isolated experience. I mean, that is, everybody has a story about their friends talking behind their back, and you learn in the long run that I mean, they're not your friends to begin with, but when you're in the middle of the experience, it's so difficult to really translate to, you know, what is actually happening, because you've never experienced anything like this before. So
that's what I was about to say. It goes back to what you were just talking about, that exposure, that once you get older, you realize, oh, that wasn't so serious. And right now, that's her life. She's in the moment.
Exactly.
Young people are very good at living in the moment, where us old people, we have to practice living in the moment. Oh, my God, we're so forever living in the past and the future. But young people live so in the moment. And in the moment, it causes her pain. And all I can tell Nicole is, do it. First of all, you were right. And see, I'm not even going to say they're not her friends, because they don't know what they're doing the same thing that they know how to do. They don't even, one thing I noticed when I was in high school, I had to teach a lot of kids how to be friends. They don't know, they could be their best friend. They don't know how to talk about issues that come up. They don't know how to handle those conversations that are delicate, that need to be taken care of. They don't really know how to hold and protect each other in a safe space. So if someone divulges some personal information, and that friend goes off with another group of people just to fit in, they'll divulge that personal information because they just don't know. They don't know that bond of what friendship is because they haven't experienced. Most of them have not had the experience of having to have that one friend when something has happened, you've broken up, you've gotten divorced, you've had a miscarriage, whatever it is, and you have that one good buddy who's going to be there no matter what. They don't have that experience.
Yeah, that's very true. Wow. Yeah, you're good. That makes perfect sense. I think an important part of that is just you don't want to get even with that person. I mean, you just kind of, which is hard, like, you know, to go back around their back and, you know, try to get back at what they were doing, which I know is an instinct for sure at that age, but I definitely feel fortunate that I've been at all ages. You could say. I mean, I've noticed that just in my few experiences, just in like kind of more of an adult setting. But I mean, the social interactions are pretty parallel in a lot of instances.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's why I just wanted to say it's not just them. And I cut them a lot more slack than I cut adults, because adults should have had more world experience to know better. So for people like Nicole, unfortunately, this is something that she's going through. But if she takes it as a point of, I can learn from this, it'll help her in the long run. Because it's not, and it's not about them not liking her, or because it really doesn't matter. What it is this situation is going to make her who well, let's put it this way, has potential to make her who she is, to be a better person. So when she sees it happening to somebody else, she can be compassionate or empathetic and to that other person that's happening to, because she knows what it feels like, and she won't do that to somebody else. When you're talking about get revenge, she won't do that because she knows how that feels.
Right.
But again, with that limited view, it's all of, and that's why people say teens are so emotional. They are, because they're totally living 100% in their feelings and thoughts in that moment. And so there have been a lot of times when I'm talking to a young person at a high school or whatever, and they are just going ballistic, and I have to get a decimal or two higher than them. I mean, I'm literally screaming to shock them back into their brain, because they're now at this very caveman-like behavior. And so, because they're just in emotion. Thought is going out the window. So I'm really just, I really have to, and sometimes I'm cussing at them. I am saying whatever I can to get them to, hey, wake up, snap back. And then once they calm down, we can have a conversation. And then I can have that conversation with them. Because I find a lot of people try to have reasonable or those thought-provoking conversations with somebody who's not even in that space. And nothing you're saying is going in at all. Because they're running on raw emotions. And this is something I'm going to tell parents. When you have a teenager who's totally ballistic with you right now, or in a moment, figure out a way to shut them down. Let them go off on their own, 15, 20, 30 minutes, then you bring them back and have a conversation. And
you just got to
whatever
run wild.
Huh?
You just kind of got to let the steam blow off, basically?
No. I'm saying shut it down. They need to shut their mouth, calm down, go in your room. Go in your room for a while. Because as a parent, you probably need to calm down too. Because that is not the time to have a conversation about anything that's going to be of meaning, because nobody's listening. So once you say, okay, I'm going to give you 30 minutes time out, and you put it on a timer, and 30 minutes later, you bring them back in, and then you have a nice, I ain't going to say nice because it might not be nice all the time, but a civil conversation about what their behavior, the consequences of their behavior, and then you move on. But to try to have that conversation, that's where a lot of parents lose their power, where their kids don't even believe that they're going to even be punished or their consequences of their actions, because they get caught up in the energy of what's going on at the house, all that, whatever it is. No, you never give that child that power. You retain your power. You shut them down. You send them off. They can sit in the corner if you need to, but you don't say a word for 30 minutes. You don't get to talk. Shut your mouth.
Yes, ma'am.
And then
that's working now.
When everybody can get back into their right brain, then we can have a conversation about what happened, what you were thinking, or whatever, and then and there always have to be consequences, because if you don't have consequences for negative behavior, it's going to keep escalating. It's that whole thing when you hear, Billy, if you don't stop, no, I'm not threatening you. You do something, and there's going to be consequences. Just like if you do something great, there's going to be consequences. Life is full of consequences, good, better, and different. And that's a place where a lot of fears come from, the inconsistencies that young people have. Let's say if you went on your job, you went to your job tomorrow, the minibar cop, and they've changed your whole job. Didn't tell you what the new changes were, but you know you're going to be reviewed. You're going to be evaluated at the end of the day. Would that not make you nervous? Would that not cause anxiety and fear within you?
Oh, absolutely. I get anxiety when if they're just like, so-and-so wants to talk to you. It's just like, even if it's for something good, you don't know in your head what it is. You just know you're going to head honcho.
Exactly. So it's that young people, particularly their age, need to feel safe, because the world around them is changing so much. Their bodies are changing. Their hormones are changing. Everything is uncertain. You're throwing elementary schools and kids in middle schools, and they're having to change classes for the first time, and that just blows their mind. You're throwing middle school kids into high school for the first time. Oh, my God, I have to go. I don't know how to get to the other side of the campus in 5 minutes. So it's all anxiety. There are balls of anxiety, and as I said, they're living in those emotions. So yeah, they're gonna snap. But parents are that place that says, this is how it is in this house today. This is how it is in this house tomorrow. This is how this is gonna be in this house next year. These are the rules. You break one of these rules, these are the consequences. It doesn't change. Because like this young lady said here, Nicole, school is just that right there is just beyond her right now. She has no way of grasping, because she can't stop them from talking about her. She can't, that's been going on for years. She has absolutely no control over that social situation. Absolutely none.
Mm-hmm.
And so what's going to make her feel safe is that home environment.
To have that trust.
Exactly. Well, again, just that safety. That when I walk through these doors, I know what to expect. I know. I know exactly what to expect. At home, this is if I do A plus B, it equals C. School, A, 1 and 2 could equal 15 tomorrow.
You got to have that foundation.
Yes.
So if So maybe if Nicole doesn't have that foundation at home, does that could have an effect on her overall ability to deal with that social situation at school?
Yes.
And it be a recurring, trend.
She can find other adults who make her safe. She can go to aunts and uncles or teachers that she really cares about and respects, or grandparents. Somebody who understands that what you're going through, and I'm going to be the one first to tell you, I'm not going to say, oh, if you're just a kid, you'll get through it. What you're going through can be quite traumatic, but it's necessary, because if you learn from this, you will be able to navigate the rest of your life successfully.
You can tell people. I've noticed, people who I've known, at least especially in high school, how they haven't really learned how to cope with such situations. Like there are certain, girls I can remember in high school, and some guys who react to certain situations just with such an extreme emotion. Like either it's just extreme anger just off the top, or it could be complete tears. Just because that's how they've learned. They haven't learned how to cope with it in
exactly
personal manner.
Yep. Yeah, and that's just, and you see it over and over again, and a lot of this is learned behavior, and I'm again going to say a lot of it, unfortunately, they see it at the house. A lot of times when I had parent meetings, the behavior that I saw in the child that I was calling the meeting for, as soon as the parent opened their mouth, I had an explanation of why the child acted like that.
From the parent?
Yes, and it's not to say, the parents were doing the best they could. That's what they knew how to do, because somebody showed them that's how to behave in this situation. So a lot of times I found myself parenting the parents. Hey, you might get better results if you do it this way. Let's put some boundaries and consequences in place for behaviors, so that this young person knows that if they do A, B, and C, 1, 2, and 3 is going to happen. And then the parent felt safer, and the kid felt safer. And so, again, Nicole, if you're still listening, that's a part of life. People do that. They could be your friend. They cannot be your friend. At this age, they're trying to figure out they don't even know what friendship is, because true friendship is never about hurting somebody else that you care for. It's not about that. Your true friend is going to tell you when you're doing wrong, because all this whole ride or die, I ain't going to jail for you. I ain't calling you when you in jail. You knew better. And that's what a good friend is going to say. Hey, fool, sit your butt down somewhere and close your mouth. If you need to,
and then,
or they'll be that shoulder for you to cry on if they need that.
An interesting thing about, as we're talking about, going from middle school to high school, or those transitions, the kid has fear, but the parent also has a fear of the kid going on into the next step.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of a mutual experience.
Oh, yeah, because they probably remember, oh, my God, what it was like to go through this. They're probably also having some issues with, their baby is getting older. That cute little girl or boy that they used to dress up and used to be very amenable to what they had to say, now it's talking back. Now has a smart mouth, and, you want to pop him in the mouth and all those things. There's a lot of insecurity, fears and stuff that's going on. You got all this stuff going on in one household, and it can be, and then you got teenage hormones and emotions. Woo, that right there puts everything on 10.
Okay.
And I've just had to learn that sometimes you just got to shut that down, because I tell them in a minute, I love you, but you're going to have to be quiet right now. Just be quiet. We'll discuss what your issues are, but not right now, because no one is at a level where they can talk about it, and anything productive comes out of it. So in the last 5 minutes, what do you want to say about fear? I have to say, as far as fear goes and being able to deal with fear, I think the most effective tactic is to really just
embrace your failures. I mean, it's hard to not harp on the negative aspects of your life, but really whatever happens, you can learn from every single situation you're put into. I'm personally trying to become more disciplined in this, but literally everything that happens on a day-to-day basis, you can learn from. I try to learn from every interaction, from every. It could be something as simple. I mean, as I'm interacting with a hotel guest at my job, and they're clearly in a grumpy mood. So I clearly have learned from dealing with them numerous times just to use manners, yes ma'am, no sir, things of that nature, and just, let them have their temper tantrum, and I'm just there as the professional. Really, I mean, from a more, I guess, productive standpoint, I mean, as far as stand-up goes, I mean, failure is crucial. And there's many parallels. I feel like I've learned more from failures in life than successes.
Oh yeah, because you get immediate feedback. If that joke bombs, you know right away. You don't have to go home and analyze. Did I say the right thing? Did I hurt their feelings? You get right away, especially if I'm in the audience. You're gonna get right away. If that worked or not.
But you learn from each and every experience, and I feel like, I mean, I have stand up as my outlet, but people have their own way of doing it. Some people work out, some people write, some people are fortunate enough to have a job to where that is, a very visceral experience, and they are able to get out their emotions through their work, which is what we should all strive to do, in my opinion. So, I mean, we all have the ability to use our fears to our advantage. It's just, learning how to.
And it's that whole thing, like I said, when you come face a fear, the first thing is that fight or flight thing. Is this life-threatening? If it's not, if it is, get the hell out. If it's not, then you have time to sit back and then you can do that analytical work. Okay, why is this a fear? What am I afraid of? Because we come up with some scenarios, a worst-case scenario. Oh, my God, I used to be the best at coming up with the worst-case scenario situations, which would not happen 0.0001% of the time. There was no way in hell these things are going to happen, but my brain took me there. And so that's to sitting down, having that logical conversation. Okay, if this fear can't kill me, then how can I let's shift it this way. If this fear can't kill me, how can I make it work to my advantage? How can I make me grow?
Right. And we all have that ability.
Yeah, I'm saying if you shift it that way, you would have learned the lessons I'm trying to teach you way earlier than I would have learned these lessons. Because even at 24, Joel, you're quite wise for somebody your age. Now, what I would love to see, because you're talking the talk, I would like to see how you walk the walk. So that would be my theme. No, just to as I get to know you, see how you navigate certain situations. Because life is just life.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely all a learning experience, but I mean, it's a goal of mine for sure to have that self-control to such a degree.
And I love that you're in management, because that's all about self-management, taking personal responsibilities for your actions, your choices, and your thoughts, and managing those situations, because it's not suppressing your anger, suppressing your fears, managing those things. And when you put the word manage on it, it seems like, it's something I can do.
Right. It's tangible.
Yes, it's something that I can do. I can manage this. I manage a lot of things. I can do this. Well, I want to say thank you, Joel, for coming on. It was great talking to you. You have been
thank you.
Very, very interesting perspective. I wish you so much luck. Not luck. I wish you well on your comedic journey. It's going to be a bright one. And so with that, everybody, I want to say Happy New Year. Take care. and I'll see you in 2013.
Thank you for listening, and please join us each and every Thursday from 8 to 9 p.m. Eastern for more Real Talk for Real Teens.